Hi, I'm Don Clark with FileMaker Pro Gurus and FM Database Consultant. Thanks for joining me today for another interview in a series of interviews I'm doing with FileMaker Pro, with prominent developers in the FileMaker community. Today I'm with Tim Dietrich of timdietrich.me, or me, and I'm also with FileMakerAddict.com. And he's going to be telling us all about the things that he does in FileMaker, and also a little bit about his life outside of FileMaker. How are you today, Tim?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Tell me something. How did you end up becoming a FileMaker developer?
It's kind of an interesting story. Back in the 90s, I was working for my family's business, and I was in college at the time studying computer science. So my task was to automate their business. And I'd like to tell you that I started off with FileMaker, but that wasn't the case. Back then, I was developing with something called Clarion, which ran on DOS and Windows machines.
Right.
And it was a pretty interesting system. It did inventory control, order processing, all the things that make a business sort of run, as best they can. And, again, back then you were on PCs primarily. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I started to get the bug about getting a Mac. I'd heard so many good things about them, and I had been an old Apple IIe guy from way back in high school. And so I decided to look into the Mac platform and ended up buying one. And I swore to myself that I was just going to use it for fun. I was going to write, just use it at home. But I kind of fell in love with the Mac, with the OS, and one thing led to another. I ended up getting a copy of, I think it was FileMaker Pro 2 back then.
Yeah.
Flat file.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It was interesting. But what I ended up doing was, sort of getting the bug, and one thing led to another. I ended up completely rewriting everything I had done for our family's business and put it into FileMaker. And so we switched not only from Clarion to FileMaker, but from PCs to Macs. So it was just, fantastic. We were a completely Mac-based business. So.
Wow.
And I've been using it in one form or another ever since, really.
Did you start developing for other people pretty quickly thereafter?
Not right away. Most of the work I had done was for our business. I did have a couple of clients that I'd done some consulting work for, but it really hadn't gotten to the point where I felt like that was something that I wanted to do for a living, at least not with FileMaker. And the .com sort of craze came along, and ended up doing a lot of web development.
Okay.
Back then, I was doing a lot of Cold Fusion work with SQL Server and Oracle on the back end.
All right.
So I kind of fell in love with those big databases too. I got to do some really interesting and crazy things with, especially with SQL Server. But it was about 6 years ago that I kind of switched back to FileMaker, and really have been almost exclusively doing FileMaker development ever since. So.
Good. Tell me more about your business, the types of clients you have, and the types of work you try to put out, and what kind of jobs you do for them, that type of thing.
Well, most of the projects I work on for clients are custom solutions. Nearly all of them are, really. And the clients are everything from a real small, like mom and pop shop, which I love because I grew up in that environment, to large universities, Fortune 50 companies, government agencies. It's interesting, the range of clients that you end up doing work for, and the variety of projects.
Yeah, it's true. With FileMaker, you can go from very small all the way up into the Fortune 100, with departments of it. You can't do enterprise work, of course.
Right. And I think what's interesting about that is you end up seeing the issues that all those different kinds of businesses and organizations have. And, they're different in some ways, but there's a lot of common issues that they're dealing with. And so it's good being able to apply something that you did for one client to another. At times you think, how could it possibly be that the same issue that a mom and pop shop is having is being faced by a department within a Fortune 50 organization? But it's all about communication, I think, is typically what the problem is. So,
and it's all about people, and that doesn't change.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one thing we can't take out of the equation, FileMaker. There's always people involved.
Yeah, and that's where most of the problems come in. So tell me more about your some projects you're working on. You've got a lot of stuff I've seen on your webpage there, and give us some more background.
Well, I think the big one so far this year, and well, there's been a couple that I've released throughout the year. I started off the year releasing FM Web Frame, which is an extension to FileMaker's API for PHP. That was very well received, and I'm actually working on a new version now. And then I guess it was, a month ago or so, I released EasySync, which is an open source sync solution for the FileMaker platform. And that's really taken off.
Yeah, I imagine. So I've looked it over. I haven't had an opportunity to install it yet and work with a client, but I really like what you have there.
It's interesting. I released it as open source, and I think that's part of the appeal. And I think the simplicity of it is also appealing to people.
Indeed.
But it's, I've got a mailing list set up, and it's really interesting to see where people are coming from that are interested in it. It's all over the world, which is fascinating to me. I don't know how some of these people are even finding out about it, but I guess that's the magic of the web, right?
Well, indeed. I've got people visit from all over the world, routinely and repeatedly, and new countries all the time. So it's pretty, and I don't think it's all robots. So, not they're reading a lot of articles. So. Yeah, they're getting pretty good with the AI if they're robots. So, but no, I know there's a lot of them because a lot of them correspond with me as well. So, what are your favorite wait, before I go to that question, I wanted to ask you one other one. Tell me about your book.
So, I'm working on the Absolute Beginner's Guide to FileMaker 13. And it was originally supposed to be the Absolute Beginner's Guide to FileMaker 12. I got, 60, 70% of the way through that book, and then we kind of got wind of 13 coming out. So we shelved the project until 13 shipped. And so I've been working on it ever since, trying to keep all the balls in the air, keep clients happy, have a life, write the book. But I think we're coming down the home stretch on it finally. So it's going to be published by Q. I'm not sure when. It's supposed to be this summer. And my guess is if it does happen this summer, it'll be late. But my suspicion is it'll be the fall. So
okay, well,
it's exciting, and that's been a real learning experience.
I can't imagine writing a book about something like that. That's a lot of detail and a lot of thought and process goes into it.
Yeah,
by a developer, so.
What has made it challenging is that it is an absolute beginner's guide, and so the assumption is that you are presenting this material to someone who has never used FileMaker and really just has basic computer skills. So you can't assume anything about the reader.
Okay.
So, that's hard to do for somebody that has used FileMaker for more than 20 years and uses it every single day. There's things that we do that are second nature to us now, and so you've got to step back and say, well, I can't make the assumption that the person's going to know what I'm talking about. So
it's got to be a challenge because you're right. A lot of us just we automatically know the answer to something.
Right.
Even a complicated process or a script or something like that. I mean, writing a script used to be a challenge. Now it's don't even think much about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the approach that I'm taking with the book, and I think it's a little bit different from some of the other books that are out there and the formal training, is that I'm trying to present the material in a way where the person reading it becomes a really good user of a FileMaker database first, gets familiar with it, starts to feel comfortable in FileMaker, and then we start taking baby steps towards them creating their own database, their own solution. So we'll see.
It's a good place to start. I really like the concept because there's a lot more people becoming involved in FileMaker.
Yeah.
And for the ones who, find out it's not the best thing for them, but they can start something, but they can always go to a developer to finish it off. So it'll work for everybody. So
yeah, I think if nothing else, it does make them a user of FileMaker more aware of what's possible. If they're not feeling comfortable enough to take it on themselves, at least they know that they can turn to a developer and they can kind of talk intelligently about, can you script this? Can you create a layout for that? And they can use terminology that, makes sense.
Yeah, they'll have a concept of what's behind all the stuff that they need done, So, all right. Well, let's change subjects here. What's your favorite non-FileMaker activities?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, it's my wife and my son and I. We have a small, close-knit family here, and we are a family of gamers. So
Oh, okay.
a lot of World of Warcraft, which
Uh-huh.
is funny. We have our own little guild. It's the three of us, and I've joked before that if it was anyone else in the guild besides me, they'd kick me out because I'm just horrible at the game. And we also play a lot of Minecraft. My son is completely addicted to it. He's kind of
Okay.
got my wife and I addicted as well. So,
Mhm.
but I also read a lot. Just, I absorb a lot of business and, productivity type articles,
Okay.
and probably spend way too much time on Reddit.
Really? Yeah, I haven't done much with Reddit, but I've got into it recently, and you're right. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of neat things.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a FileMaker subreddit on there too. It doesn't get a lot of activity yet, but
Mhm.
it's just it's kind of like the internet itself. It's endless as to what you'll find on there. So
Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to add? Share with us about your background or your future plans or anything like that?
well, I've talked about some of the projects that I've been working on already. I've got a few more tricks up my sleeve, hopefully before the end of the year. Some cool FileMaker things that I'm working on. And again, I think we'll see a new version of FM WebFrame ship hopefully in the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
and so I'm pretty excited about that.
Great.
So yeah, I've got a lot of really interesting things going on. Not as much client work. I'm not doing as much client work as I had been. I'm trying to kind of take a break from that and
Right.
catch my breath from all the work that I've been doing over the past 5-6 years. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks very much for joining me today, and thank you for everybody out there for watching this at FileMaker Pro Gurus. Check back here more often for more interviews with other people that are prominent in the FileMaker community, and we'll look for you next time. Thank you very much. Take care, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks, Don.